For 15 months, the FBI had it, didn't do anything with it. You know why? It was also found out that he was basically trying to bribe the FBI investigator with a high-paying head of security job for the United States Gymnasts Association.
I hope he got charged with
not yet. It's going on.
He's being litigated against right now.
Yeah.
It hasn't.
Yes.
But yeah, he basically sat on it, and he'd be like, "No, you can't." But here's the rub: while he was sitting on it, Larry Nassar was still touching little girls
at the Olympics.
Yeah,
at the ranch.
So like girls that might have been saved at this point also got to be victims.
Well, then his ass needs to be held as or charged as an accomplice to every one of those from the time he found out until the time the guy was caught.
I agree, because he had power over Larry Nassar. He could have removed him from the sphere of being able to interact with these children, but he didn't.
When you get a notification like that, that's the first thing you're supposed to do. Hey, we're pulling you off, we're putting you on administrative leave. It's like that with any job where you have any authority over anybody. If there's a complaint, doesn't matter what the complaint is,
or if it's founded, until it's investigated.
Yeah, you are removed. You know, you're riding a desk, or you're on vacation, or whatever the fuck. Yeah.
Since you're a fucking volunteer, you just go the fuck home.
Yeah, exactly.
So like he literally, in pursuit of Olympic gold and the dollar attached to it, he made a conscious choice to let this man continue to have access to young impressionable girls.
Well, what did they say when he took over as president? And like I said, his whole background was marketing.
Well, it was when
they made
I don't trust marketing people anymore.
The Gymnast Association made like $12 million a year. And after he took over, it just
blew up to $1 billion industry for like advertising and endorsements and shit like that. Like I had no idea there was so much money involved in all this until I watched this.
Yeah.
And
nothing goes on nationwide if it's not there's not a budget. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is.
Well, and
even nonprofits are $1 billion corporations.
Yeah, but I mean, I just did not realize how much, I've just never had a kid in.
Right.
Wow. I mean, so there was a lot of money to protect, and that's what he was worried about. He did not give 3 shits for those little girls.
And he had to spend the rest of his life in prison for it.
And he's just like,
he hasn't yet. They had a congressional hearing.
Oh, wow.
He pled the fifth.
Yeah, everything they asked him.
And I can't remember who it was, but one of the congressmen was like, so after like 4 or 5 questions.
Plead the fifth.
So am I to assume that you plan on pleading the fifth for every question that is asked of you in this hearing?
And basically
he's like, yeah.
And so as he's walking out,
well, that's why they should have never questioned him. They should have put his bitch ass on trial and been like, you don't say anything. We've got all the evidence, fucker.
And
we don't need you to testify.
Well, like I said, the FBI investigation is really just getting going now because it had been stalled. Because it was stymied for 2 years, probably.
Wow.
But as they're walking him out, reporters are like, "How do you feel? Do you feel any culpability at all?"
Yeah, no.
And he's just like,
he just nose stuck up in the air, and
it just like, I'm not a violent person. It just made I was like, if that had been my daughter, I'd be ready to burn the goddamn world down.
But I'll tell you another thing that killed me is all this shit went on.
And claimed temporary insanity when I did it.
Shit went on at Michigan State, too. Mm-hmm. And I've never heard anything bad about Michigan State because of it.
But that's where I really...
that was interesting because there had actually, at Michigan State...
The campus...
There had been, a couple of reports...
saying that he'd been inappropriate. Those were the ones that were like saying, he's touching me. He's got erections. He's got,
The one girl came in. Actually, she called, and I think dispatch called the university
because this all started because of it all started because the Michigan State thing blew up around the same time as the
Sandusky and all that.
And so this small-ish, about the equivalent of a Little Rock paper, like the Demazette, got the story and did a headline and
the Indianapolis Star, which is where the Gymnastics Association is based, was one of their affiliates.
Yeah,
and so they started picking it up.
They ran this story, and within a day they've got 13 people that call in and go, that happened to me. Yeah. And then it's 30, and then it's 60. And it just, and they're like, we had no idea what we'd opened up. And then that's how because it started with the Michigan State allegations, and then that's how they realized with the Caroli Ranch and all that, and the Olympians and the young children.
Piecing it all together. But here's the interesting thing. One of the girls, and she was one, I think, that was working at the gym, the Caroli gym, but also was at Michigan State, wasn't she?
Got a little...
Because that's where she made the report, was Michigan State. Because she called, and dispatch for whatever the town was actually called the campus police. Because, nowadays, these major universities have their own actually accredited police department.
Yeah, UALR has that.
Yeah, rather than just being like security guys or whatever.
UALR had campus police when I went there in 96.
Well, and I mean, these bigger universities, it's big time.
Yeah.
Okay, so they wound up routing the call to the campus police. Female investigator gets a hold of her, and she's like, that's interesting. Gets to looking, and she sees that there's been 2 or 3 reports at the school.
And they've interviewed him once.
But they
softballed him.
And nothing ever came of it. And she's like, that's weird. And so the girl comes in, she takes her report. Okay. So she calls Larry Nassar in. And she gave him hell for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Nice.
Well, first he thinks he's being called in because of the stuff in the young girls. Because he's like, if this is all from way back then, why are they just now? And she's like, no, this isn't from way back. This is from this is recent. And, and he realizes that she's playing kind of hardball. She's not just...
She's not lobbing the...
Yeah, she's not lobbing him a bunch of easy pitches for him to... And she's asking hard questions. And she's like, so, can you tell me, have you ever... And she got him on film lying. She said, have you ever had to do an exam or a treatment that involved you inserting your fingers into any of these girls? No, why would I have to do that? When he'd already done videos saying he did.
Yeah.
So she started catching him there.
And then, wow.
Then she said,
was good.
"Oh,
and then
you could see the fury
because
off of her.
Well, he started trying to pull that whole I'm a doctor and this is too technical for you to understand kind of shit." And she's like,
he tried a little late,
and you could tell.
See, if I was her, I'd have been like, "That's okay, because I'm videotaping all of this. You go ahead and tell me." And I'll
have some experts.
Yeah, I'll have a medical expert.
She didn't need it because basically you could tell her attitude was kind of like, I may not be a doctor, but I'm not stupid. And I know what you're selling is bullshit.
Yeah. And like, she was like, so, because he'd been pretty cocky and relaxed and doing his good old boy charm thing that worked with the kids. And then she goes, so have you ever had an erection while you're treating a patient? And he just started stuttering. And well, I mean, a man can't control an erection. Sometimes it just happens. And she goes, no, an erection happens when you're aroused. And there'd be no reason for you to be aroused while treating a patient, would there? And you could see he was like, oh, this could go bad for me. You could like almost see it dawn in his eyes.
Well, and then it went bad for him too, because all the, remember talking about all the videos he made back in the 90s?
His instructional videos.
Videos. Well, he sent some of those in as proof that what he was doing was a legit medical procedure, blah, 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 blah. Everybody that watched the instructional videos were like, no, that's molestation.
That's not how.
There is no medical reason for him to have to do that.
This was when he was like, I might have to, if I had to relocate like a coccyx, and I was trying to, I would have to, have one hand on the outside and one hand on the inside. And they were like, no, I don't think that you would actually.
And so anyway, this that investigator winds up going to work for the prosecutor as a special investigator the prosecutor that prosecuted his ass.
Nice.
And that literally, they came up with like 500 cases. 500 girls that he had done.
500 girls or 500 instances?
500 girls. Oh, God.
I know, I've already told you how many times a day some of these girls would be touched by this man.
So we're talking like 1,500 instances.
At least.
Shit, probably more than that.
Over decades.
Yeah.
And I mean, they showed him they showed archival footage from the Olympics. Remember when that, what was it?
Carrie Strode.
Carrie Strug, remember when she did the thing and she did the vault and she landed, broke her foot and stuck it,
and then she got
crawled
back up
off
and
the
did
mat.
it again, and all that, yeah.
She was a little bitty redhead and she went in.
Dimply smile.
Yeah, tiny little, look, Peter Panish.
She ran the vault with a broken ankle.
Yeah,
and won gold.
And she...
I don't know.
No,
you keep saying it.
I'm telling you, that's what she did.
The first time she had an injury, and you could tell she was hurt. And that with the vault, they take the best out of the two. And the next time, like she literally, when she landed, her ankle snapped, and she still stuck the landing. And then they carried her off, and he was right there.
Huh.
And I mean, the audacity. He just really thought he was untouchable.
And now he's getting touched.
And I like it. I mean, it won't fix them, but at least they were heard.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of other people involved that I think need to...
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But I don't think they'll ever touch Bella and Marta because they're institutions.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
And I'm not saying I agree with that, but they got a lot of clout.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Amber, you got anything to say since you haven't said anything for the whole thing?
She's checked out on us.
Okay.
She's not here.
Well, that's all we got. Y'all be good.
Bye.
Bye.